Hi there, welcome on board for our half-hour journey through the pages of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Theodore Henry. Our first stop today is at Path, where we explore the avenue it's charting for education. We also walk the community beat in St. Mary and follow a cultural trail that's rich in history. Then we get health-wise and learn how to protect ourselves from diseases. Sit back and relax as we turn the pages of today's informative edition.
Protect yourself from the flu virus. Visit your nearest health center or doctor to get the flu vaccine. Cover your mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing. Wash your hands regularly with soap and water or by using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid the spread of germs by not touching your eyes, mouth, or nose. And be sure to regularly disinfect surfaces and objects that are used often. Remember, your health is your responsibility.
Hi there, I'm Simone Wolf with your JIS News of the Week. Government has now identified a quarantine facility in Western Jamaica as a proactive measure against COVID-19, formerly the novel coronavirus. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton made the disclosure as he toured a quarantine facility at the St. Joseph's Hospital in St. Andrew.
There are 14 rooms, self-contained, meaning bathroom, bedroom, that allows someone who is under quarantine to be placed here for the 14 days and is sufficiently quarantined or by themselves.
Meanwhile, Jamaica is now able to test for COVID-19 following the training of local laboratory staff by the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO.
We are working as assiduously as we can with our international partners, with our internal stakeholders or experts to respond to this global threat and to do as best as we can to protect the population from this, as we would from any other.
In other health news, government has increased bandwidth service at the Kingston Public and Victoria Jubilee hospitals to facilitate fast-speed transfer of scanned images and laboratory tests to enhance patient care.
This bandwidth allows us to, with their appropriate instrumentation, for a doctor to literally put a device in your ears or any other part of your body and remotely read based on what they observe because of the lines of resolution, if you will, and by extension make a diagnosis without touching the patient.
1,200 residents of 10 communities surrounding the Gisco Alpart Alumina Refinery in St. Elizabeth, who have been affected by dust nuisance from the plant's mud lake, will receive close to $40 million in compensation.
It is something at the top of my list as a priority, and I'm committing to them that I will continue to monitor it personally as minister and to make sure that we do what we can do as soon as possible.
Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Darrell Vaz, has given the assurance that there will be no further changes of land use for the Greater Bernard Lodge area, for which the Development Master Plan now covers 5,384 acres.
56% of that 5,384 acres will be devoted to agricultural use, 28% for residential use, and the remaining 16% for utilities, open space, and commercial use. We therefore have increased the agricultural allocation from 43% in the first master plan to 56% in the revised master plan.
The Jamaica National Service Corps now has a permanent home following the opening of a new multipurpose building at Up Park Camp in Kingston.
Ultimately, the objective is to end this business of unattachment in the society.
More than 7,000 residents in and around the community of Watermount St. Catherine will have reliable potable water supply in the next 8 months after this week's groundbreaking for a $150 million upgrade of the Watermount water supply system.
The work is ready to begin and the resources are in place. Remember now, this is an investment in your community that has to be sustained. And so I want to encourage you to be responsible both in accommodating the project and its completion, but after the completion, be responsible in terms of the usage of the infrastructure.
Meanwhile, government has set aside $100 million to truck water to communities across the island that are affected by drought conditions.
Already the country is experiencing drought conditions. The parishes of Portland and St. Mary is presently going through that phase. The government has been proactive. We have started to look at how we are going to respond to the crisis. And we have been doing so in a number of ways.
And come next month, Jamaicans will have access to the TravelPal app that will allow commuters to use their mobile devices to scan the registration plates of public passenger vehicles to confirm if they are licensed by the Transport Authority.
By the end of March, we'll be launching the TravelPal, which is a safety and security app for passengers.
And those were some of the stories making news this week. I'm Simone Wolf.
Every child must have the opportunity to stay in school, and every child must have the opportunity to learn, whatever their economic circumstance. The Program of Advancement through Health and Education, we call it PATH, has been supporting this agenda, as you will see in our next feature.
Nearly 10 years ago, Aaron Nation was in a predicament. He had 3 daughters in school for whom he had big dreams, but very little means to make them a reality. As a security guard, he was earning a minimum wage, and his wife was unable to work due to an illness. Even sending his girls to school and providing for his family's basic needs was a challenge. What was he to do? The answer came from a colleague.
I was introduced by one of my co-workers one night while we was at work, and she was telling me how she benefit with her 3 children. So I found it interesting. So the very next day I went to the office and applied, and they gave me a form and complete the form and take it back to the office with information on it. And then after that, one of the social workers visited the house to confirm the information that was given on the paper. And then I was being informed that I was being enrolled on the program.
What Aaron's co-worker introduced him to was the Program of Advancement through Health and Education, PATH. It's a cash transfer program funded by the Government of Jamaica and the World Bank. Since 2002, PATH has been offering assistance to thousands of parents like Aaron.
It helped my children them throughout school, especially the lunch program was good for me, because all I need to give them was $300 each day to pay their fare and $100 to buy a drinks because they get a meal every day.
With the monthly stipend PATH offered, plus the meals provided under the school feeding program, Aaron was empowered to ensure his girls never missed a day of school. He was finally able to put them on track for the bright future he dreamed of.
Compliance in attending school is a requirement of the PATH program. So if you do not attend school every day, the benefits are cut. You can lose them if the children are not attending school. So I believe that that is one positive contribution that it has made, where besides giving the assistance, that it has said that there must be compliance in school attendance.
Aaron's eldest daughter, Nicole, is grateful for PATH's support. She credits it with putting her well on the path to fulfilling her dreams of being a medical doctor. She's now an intern at the Spanish Town Hospital.
I began the PATH program when I was at Montego Community College. I was just starting college, and so my father received the monthly stipend to assist our household. The PATH program became a more fundamental part of my educational journey when during my last year of medical school, I received a grant of $100,000 to help finance my tuition.
Nicole's sister Marielle, who is now a trained teacher, also got help from PATH towards her tertiary education.
As soon as she was 18 years old, I went back to the office, complete the forms. They gave me a grant of $50,000, so I used it to help pay the school fee at Sam Sharp Teachers College. And then in the final year, I saw one day in the newspaper when it came out that final year student would be granted $100,000. So I have 2 children who was on their final year.
Now, only one of the nation's sisters remains on the program at the secondary level. Just like the nation's sisters, PATH has enabled many students to shine from the primary to tertiary levels.
PATH students have excelled. There's a youth ambassador program in the PATH program, and 16 persons were awarded at a function we had recently, the Mona Visitors Lodge. And in those 16 youth ambassadors, I mean, that's such a positive story. There was one medical doctor, there was an attorney, linguists, teachers, persons who have truly excelled and who can speak of the benefits of the PATH program.
Nicole was one of those bestowed the prestigious title of Youth Ambassador.
Being a youth ambassador, it is a privilege, it is an honor. I view it as a critical role, especially in helping to move Jamaica forward. We are an inspiration, we are motivation, we're there to drive students and say, hey, you can achieve not just a high school education, but also a tertiary education. We will be going to visit schools, we'll be on the devotionals, we'll be encouraging students. Take the money, take the lunches, take whatever PATH provides for you and make it your own. Do your best in school, get an education, and the sky is the limit.
In addition to providing a monthly stipend, feeding young beneficiaries and providing school grants, PATH provides several other benefits for students and their parents.
We have the Steps to Work program, which is a program that allows the parents of the children to become gainfully engaged, whether in shops, setting up shops, rearing pigs, rearing chickens, so that they in time can come off. It's the graduation strategy to get people off of PATH, because of course you don't want people to remain on PATH for the rest of their lives.
Students also receive money for transportation to school, and those at the secondary level are able to sit 5 CSEC subjects free of cost, enabling them to meet the minimum qualifications for acceptance to university. And there are plans on the horizon for the monthly family stipend.
We have been looking at, and it's going to come through, increasing the benefits that we pay.
I would encourage any parents to try and don't let it go by, because it's a good program and it can really assist you through education. So if you're really serious about education, please stick to the thing, because it can work, because it works well for me. Not just well, but very, very well.
In addition to students, PATH beneficiaries include persons 60 years and over who don't receive a pension, persons with disabilities, pregnant and lactating women, and poor adults 18 to 59 years of age. If you need more information on the PATH program, contact the Ministry of Labour and Social Security at 922-9500-14 or visit their website mlss.gov.jm.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security is reminding individuals who use NIS stamp cards to make their contributions that the minimum amount has been increased from $150 to $200 per week as of January 2020. The National Insurance Scheme, NIS, is a compulsory contributory funded social security scheme that covers all employed persons. NIS, always working for you.
Community tourism can develop economic livelihood for residents and is an important aspect of development here in Jamaica. We follow the heritage trail of one rural community in St. Mary where residents have come together to build out their cultural tourism concept using relics of the past which exhibit something sacred. Take a look.
About Woodside, let me start by telling you that Woodside is my heart.
Welcome to Woodside!
Woodside is in St. Mary, deep rural community,
approximately around 1,000 people living in Woodside. Mostly middle age. It's a farming community.
Yeah, man.
Woodside is really a warm and a friendly environment and a very peaceful community. As people coming into Woodside, you can just expect fruits, you name it, country. It's country stuff, you know. And then you can expect history and culture. So we have students come here on tours, university students and visitors, people who doing history, doing research and like family tree, you know, and some of them find out back their family were right back here from Woodside, from this very plantation here. This plantation was one of the largest plantations of coffee growing in this region in the days of slavery.
We have 4 historical sites here that are protected by the National Heritage Trust. It is the former great house of the slave master. Steps down here, those are steps which were carved out by the Tainos. One Bobby Susan, which we have now learned, is called Atabey. But I have yet to hear about sacred tourism. And this is what we are. This is a sacred space that you are in. Down there, Daddy Rock is a sacred space, sacred to the Africans. It's very important that she's Atabey because she's the mother of the chief god who is Yokahu, and she is the goddess of the earth mother. So we have her here in Woodside. And there's steps here that are sacred to the Taino. I'm telling you that we have Taino from Puerto Rico, and we have Taino from Florida coming to see these things. And you would cry when you see how they behave, how they love us because they say we took care of their relics.
The church can tell the production that was taking place. That was the home for the slave master, and then it was given to the community for a school, and then it became a church. The same organization built us a school over there, which is closed now, and I see it to use fit as a perfect camping site for this area. Because we have a lot of high schools in this community. We're doing cadet drill and all of these things. Back then we was told that here was the era where the slave used to plan their escape.
Annually, we come down here to really have a reading session on the 31st of July, leading into the 1st of August when it was Emancipation celebration. The slave would come here to really discuss their own private business, leading up to that impending event that will be the Emancipation celebration. So we find it possible that annually we'd come here, have a reading session.
These plaques here bear the name of some of our slaves that were here on the plantation.
Well, the future plan for Woodside, you saw it down there. Since 2006, we determined that we would make use of our historical sites. We would care them so that we could present them in our Educa tourism product, looking much better, and we would also be teaching people more about them. Well, that needed funding. That is not something we could do by having a dance. And then the cement company last year put out an advertisement for community development projects. And we applied, and we came first, and we got the $6 million. Not in our hand, because they are doing the project, but that is our project there, the ancestral garden.
So we can have visitors who come here and then we exchange, cultural exchange, we can exchange with food, we can share with rivers we have here, and different. We have caves, and all of this. So here in Woodside, really, it's environmentally friendly.
I'd like to tell you about when Woolmer's Boys School came here. I do not know if you know custard. You know coconut custard? Well, they got roast yam and coconut custard, and they were all, wow, we want more, what we want. Tell us how to make this. We want our mother to make. You can imagine mother making in Kingston, mother making this for them Woolmer's children. But anyhow, that's a kind of excitement that comes with coming here.
One of the many diseases posing a public health challenge globally is the novel coronavirus, now known officially as the Coronavirus Disease 2019, COVID-19. There have been many speculations and a lot of misinformation in the public space about this disease, but we want to share some facts about the condition and how you can prevent infection.
Coronaviruses are a large family of viruses found in both animals and humans. Some infect people and are known to cause illness ranging from the common cold to more severe diseases such as Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, MERS, and Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome, SARS. Research reveals that SARS-CoV was transmitted from civet cats to humans in China in 2002, and MERS-CoV from dromedary camels to humans in Saudi Arabia in 2012. A novel coronavirus, novel meaning new strain of the coronavirus not previously identified in humans, was identified after an outbreak was reported in Wuhan, China in December 2019. It has subsequently spread to a number of other countries through human-to-human contact, and the World Health Organization has since officially named it COVID-19. The incubation period for viruses is the time between infection and the start of clinical symptoms of the disease. Based on information from other coronavirus diseases, such as MERS and SARS, the incubation period of the 2019 novel coronavirus, or COVID-19, is determined to be up to 14 days. As with other respiratory illnesses, this disease can cause mild symptoms, including a runny nose, sore throat, cough, and fever. For coronavirus generally, the person is most infectious when displaying symptoms. It is difficult to identify COVID-19 based on symptoms alone, as they are typically the same as infections of the flu or cold. A laboratory test is therefore needed to confirm if someone has the coronavirus. The infection can be more severe for some persons and can lead to pneumonia or breathing difficulties. More rarely, the disease can be fatal. Older persons and people with pre-existing medical conditions such as asthma, diabetes, and heart disease are deemed more vulnerable to becoming severely ill with the virus. The new coronavirus spreads primarily through contact with an infected person. It spread through respiratory droplets generated when a person coughs or sneezes, or through droplets of saliva or discharge from the nose. To prevent spread, it's important that everyone practice good respiratory hygiene.
It's a similar respiratory precaution as we would take for influenza.
For example, sneeze or cough into a flexed elbow, or use a tissue and discard it immediately into a closed bin. Washing your hands frequently with soap and water or using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer eliminates the virus if it is on your hands.
Washing of hands is very, very important because any kind of droplets that get on your hand you can transfer to your face, and you can therefore get it into your ear passages or into the eyes and cause an infection.
When someone who is infected with a respiratory disease like COVID-19 coughs or sneezes, that person projects small droplets containing the virus. If you are too close, you can breathe in the virus.
The general precautions in terms of making sure that you keep your distance, 3 feet is what we recommend.
Keeping this distance between yourself and other people, particularly those who are coughing, sneezing, and have a fever, helps to prevent those persons who don't have the virus from getting it.
If you are sick, to stay away from other person, that means not going to work or school.
Someone who is coughing and sneezing should wear an approved mask where necessary.
Wearing a mask is only for the sick or for medical persons who are doing a procedure. Actually, if you go ahead and wear a mask, you might be the one who would get the infection, because they put on a mask and you see it happening. They put it on, they start sweating, they start playing around with the mask, it's getting moist, it allows the infection to get in easier. So you are actually exposing yourself. And so we have to be very careful how we use masks and other protective equipment.
Data collected by the WHO so far suggests that the coronavirus may survive a few hours on surfaces, and applying disinfectants to surfaces can kill the virus, making it no longer possible to infect people in this way. To avoid getting infected, do not touch your eyes, nose, or mouth after touching any surface. The Ministry of Health and Wellness recommends that people who have flu-like symptoms such as a cough, fever, or difficulty breathing should visit the doctor immediately. Inform healthcare providers of any overseas travel in the 14 days before your symptoms developed, or if you've been in close contact with someone who has been sick with respiratory symptoms. To date, there's no specific medicine recommended to prevent or treat the new coronavirus or COVID-19. But persons infected with the virus should receive appropriate care to relieve and treat symptoms, and those with severe illness should receive optimized supportive care. Remember, practice good respiratory and hand hygiene, and when necessary, see your doctor.
Water is precious. So we encourage everyone to practice the 4 R's of water conservation. Always remember to reduce your use of water wherever possible. Replace water wasting devices with water savings devices. Reuse water wherever possible. And wherever leaks are found, please repair them and repair them quickly.
Don't delay. Practice the 4 R's of water conservation today.
We've come to the end of our half-hour journey, but be sure to come right back here tomorrow for another edition of Jamaica Magazine. Until then, continue to watch these and other programs by logging on to our website, jis.gov.jm, or subscribing to our YouTube channel. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. All good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.